In this video I'll show you what I do with my trail cams. And what I do is to insulate them, shield them and camouflage them. So of course we have first of all the trail camera. For insulation, foil insulation that you can get any DIY place. I got mine at Lidl's, it's really good actually. You'll need double-sided tape. This is what they call, I think, Faraday material. It shields radio signals, and I think it shields 5G as well pretty well. Certainly seems to have worked for me. And finally, camouflage tape. So what I've done initially is just put the double-sided tape, positioned it where I'm going to be putting the foam insulation. So there we have it so far. Now I'll apply more double-sided tape here, ready to put the shielding material on it. And that's it now with the first of the shielding material on it. So now I'll just stick some camo tape on it. You'll start to see it taking shape. And there we are, first part of the job done, in front of the camera. Now on the back of the camera I'm going to have a double layer of tape. So the foil will first face in, the idea being it just reflects any heat generated from the batteries back into the camera. Keeps it nice and warm and hopefully stops condensation. And then the outside layer will be reflective layer out the way, hoping to repel the cold. And we can see that's coming along nicely. It's a double layer around the edge. Now we've just got to do the back. Before I put on the final layer of insulation here, one very important tip: run your strap through first, because once you've got two layers on there, trying to feed that through there will be very difficult. And I found that out when I first did this. There we have it, double layer of insulating foam. And now we'll apply the shielding material on this side. And there you have it, the shielding material applied. Now we put the camo tape on. I bet you never thought trail cams could be this exciting, And there we are, all ready for the final part, which is the shield that goes around it. So making the collar to go around it is, again, it's just a layer of cardboard and the shielding, the insulation both sides. And then we'll just put a layer of the shielding material around it as well. Tape it up and that's it. Here's what you end up with once you made your collar. A nice insulated shielded camera, and then a nice insulated shielded collar, which just helps keep the wind and the cold off a bit more. So my thinking on trail cameras has evolved over time. When I first started using them, of course, I just go out and just strap them to a tree in a particular area to see what I get. Usually at places where the cats have been seen. Of course, for the most part, it's yielded absolutely nothing. And then I began to think about things like scent and camouflage. So, firstly for camouflage, what I applied was something I learned in the TA many years ago, and it's what they call the 5 S's, which is shape, shine, shadow, silhouette and skylining. These are 5 S's that can reveal you to your opponent. So 2 of those 5 would apply here, and those would be shape and silhouette. And my thinking there is simply the shape of the cameras. It's not a natural shape, so it'll stand out in the natural environment. Also the silhouette, depending where you attach this, it'll create a different silhouette that isn't part of the natural environment and can be seen. So what I tried to do there is use the lie of the land, the terrain, and camouflage the cameras in positions where hopefully they won't be seen and the wildlife will be quite unaware of them. And so far I think it's been quite successful. So I will show you what I do. So if we look around this area here, we're on a slope. That's the first thing we notice. A lot of leaf litter, and there's also moss as well. So we can use the slope to our advantage and the moss and the leaf litter for camouflage. So this tree here, this is where I've had a camera before, and I'll just show you exactly what I did before to camouflage the camera. So what I'm going to do here is simply place the camera in this position here. I've had a camera here before, and the field of view is 120 degrees that way and pretty much that way as well. So as we have a sloping floor here, if I place the camera here, it's going to cover everything in front of the camera. So that'll work really well. And by using moss, I not only can conceal the camera, I can conceal any, hopefully, any man-made scent that may still linger on the camera after me handling it. That's the hope anyway. So I'll get on with the camouflage here. Okay, so the camera's in place now. So we'll just start stacking up the moss around it. It might not matter so much if the side sensors are shielded from use. So I also put moss in around there like that, just to try and break up that line there. You can see between what I call the, what do I call that? I don't know. I had a name for it and I can't remember it now. You could call it the shield if you wanted. A weather shield. That would be good. So there we are. So to make it blend in a bit more, what we can also do is have some twigs, leaves, bits and pieces lying about. The camera lens is clear, so that's good. And you can decide what you want to do with your sensors, whether you have all three operating or just the forward one. That's quite a nice little bit of camouflage. I'm quite happy with that. A few sticks lying about as well, just to make it look really good. You want this to blend in as much as possible. So you've got a good covering of moss here. That's going to help conceal the scent of the camera. And hopefully the wildlife will be completely unaware, as well as any humans passing by. So let's take the camera back a little bit and see if we can see it. Okay, I'm about 30 feet from that trail camera now. You can see that's pretty well concealed. There is some sunlight reflecting from the perspex over the LEDs, but that's only a temporary problem. That depends entirely on the angle of the sun, and you might not have that problem at all, depending on what kind of forest you're in and how you camouflage it. Let's take it from another angle and have a look again. Okay, so I'm just filming this as if I'm just standing here, not doing anything in particular. Would I notice that camera? Probably not. So I think that's really well done. I'm very happy with that, and this is something I've done a few times in this particular area. And I've caught a few people walking past, their dogs have come in a look, and they follow the dog and they've never noticed the camera. So there we are, that's another angle. Again, about 30 feet away, you wouldn't know that camera was there. So from the point of view of concealment, that's working great. And another thing, something important to remember is if people come by, nobody really looks at the ground. They're scanning ahead of them and at a height. So they tend not to notice it. So that's a little insight into how I camouflage cameras, where I can and when I can. Of course, it always depends on your surroundings. Some forests like this are ideal for it. Maybe pine forest, pine plantation, not so much. You might have to think about positioning them higher up the tree and looking down at an angle and using the branches as concealment there. But as I say, if you can eliminate those two S's, shape and silhouette, that'll go a long way to capturing more on camera, I think. Certainly works for me anyway. But of course there are some places I use the cameras and I can't camouflage them just due to the location, the nature of the location. But I do where I can. So I think I'll go out now to another place. I've put cameras out before, and actually I need to put cameras out again, and you'll see what I do with a camera there. Before I show you my next idea I had for camouflaging my cameras, we'll just remind ourselves of the two S's, shape and silhouette. So you've got there, sitting there, that's a man-made shape, stands out a mile. So that's one reason for trying to conceal a camera. And here you can see the problem that silhouette presents. Again, man-made shape, sticks out, no problem at all. And I just go on the premise that whatever's out here knows its environment very well and is aware of any changes and can spot anything that's out of the ordinary. So that's why I go for camouflage when possible. As I've said already, sometimes it just isn't and you just got to take a chance. So we'll do the next bit of camouflage and you can see what I do again. So once again, all we're going to use here for concealing this camera is an awareness of the surroundings. So I'm going to take advantage of this tree. So this camera is a bit off the ground, about 18 inches. And I'm just going to use the fact that there's moss on the tree here, and I'll get more moss. I'll take from another tree and I'll conceal the camera with that. And then we'll have a look at it from a couple of different angles and see how we've got on. Okay, so start packing the moss around there. And of course, if it's predominantly green, make sure you keep it green. That's fitting in quite nicely there, actually. Oh, we'll have to build this up a bit. A bit in there. Now that's gone particularly well. Okay, so we've also got leaf litter as well. So what we'll do is we'll have some leaf litter around as well. Once again, thinking about your surroundings and doing your best to disguise that it's there. Now, I think that's pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. And now we'll move out a couple of different angles and film it from there and see what we think. Okay, so we're about 15 feet away. Again, with the sunlight, there's a little bit of reflection on the perspex in front of the LEDs. And that's just something you'll have to live with. And the sunlight won't affect it all the time. It's just a certain time of the day. So from that angle, that's pretty good. If it wasn't for that reflection, I don't think you would notice it if you walked past. In fact, I would say you certainly would not notice it if you walked past. Yeah, that is looking pretty good. And you can see, we'll have a close in shot. You can see what I mean about using the leaf litter as well to help conceal the fact that there's fresh moss in around there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. There's enough leaf litter on there to conceal the fact that that's new moss I've put in around it. That's what it's all about, camouflage and concealment. So here we find ourselves in a typical plantation of pine. As you can see, looking behind me, there's just next to no ground cover. So to break up shape and silhouette, what we can do, or what I do, is simply put the camera up at height and relying on the branches to break up the shape and the silhouette. Of course, you're going to want to position your camera as best you can to cover the trail that you want to watch. So we'll just do that. It's very simple. So what I've done is I've just broken off some of the branches that might obscure the camera here, and I'm going to position it in such a way that it looks in this direction here, which is where I want to cover. Okay, so that's pointing in the direction I really want it, but the thing is it's at the level, so all I'm going to do is put a piece of stick in behind it to angle it down, and yeah, that's pretty good. And on goes the cover. So that's pretty good there, I'm quite happy with that. Now what we'll do is we'll just take a little walk around and we'll see how the branches break up the shape and the silhouette. Or right in front of it, well, you might still see it. However, let's just move around and see what effect the branches will have on it. We're breaking that silhouette up. So there's one point. I mean, we know where the camera is. However, the person who's just sort of wandering through here isn't really looking for that and probably won't see it. As you can see though, it's broken up even more at that angle. You wouldn't even know it was there. Let's go over here though. The only problem is the bloody branches. And it's there. And that's a handy thing, is the branches are so thick, they really will break up the silhouette well. And if anyone does come through here, chances are they're going to be spending more time dodging all the branches than looking for anything else. Well, you can see it quite clearly there. But again, it practically disappears. I'm about 20 feet from it and it's gone. The other advantage with putting the camera up high is that I've noticed from my footage that the animals don't tend to look up. They're just looking around at their level. So that helps.